Obviously, income inequality in America is absolutely horrendous, but on this video, we want to give you a stat, an amazing fact of the day that puts it in shocking relief how bad it has become, and it has to do with just 3 families in America, the 3 wealthiest families. Those are the Waltons of Walmart, the Mars Candy family, and the Koch brothers, heirs of the country's 2nd largest private company, the energy conglomerate Koch Industries. These are all enterprises built by the grandparents and parents of today's wealthy heirs and heiresses, so understand that these are the exact opposite of self-made people. I'm sure they're working in their own right, but they are inheriting a great amount of wealth. And The Guardian put together some statistics about exactly how wealthy they actually are. Remember, 3 families. So these 3 families owned a combined fortune of $348.7 billion, which is 4 million times the median wealth of a US family.
Wow.
US families that might be bigger overall, and I would say are possessing of as much inherent value and decency and worthiness of respect as anyone else. But in this, each family's worth 1.3 million times as much. So that is amazing, but that's not the amazing fact. They didn't just get this way over the course of hundreds of years. It has been a relatively quick ascent for them. Since just 1982, these 3 families have seen their wealth increase nearly 6,000%, factoring in inflation. Meanwhile, the median household wealth went down 3% over the same period.
Okay, that's it. That right there is everything. So, and what do I tell you guys all the time? 1978 is when all the changes began, okay? It isn't Citizens United. Citizens United shot a dead horse. It's a terrible, terrible decision. But they actually made the decisions to allow corporations to give money to politicians back in 1976 and 78 in 2 different Supreme Court cases. From there on, the wealth inequality began. Up until then, you would be surprised, and I've shown you these charts, where wages actually went up a lot as productivity went up. So from 1948 to 1978, or actually 38 even, we have a golden period of 30 to 40 years in America where we are the #1 economy in the world, and our workers, our middle class is being rewarded for it. And wages are going up exactly in the same line as productivity is. Okay, from 1978, 80, here in this case, they picked the year 82 to track it from. It diverges. Your wages have not gone up at all since then. So the idea that it was gonna trickle down to you, it's a total myth. It's a lie. It was never true, and we've had all this time to prove out whether it's true or not true, and it isn't. All those tax cuts and the deregulation and all the things that the right wing pushed, it was not for your benefit. It was for the benefit of the people who could now give them unlimited money, corporations and the really, really wealthy. And they did, and it was a spectacular return on investment. They would give them millions, and in return, they would receive billions. We have more of that in a little bit. But look at that. While your wages went down on average, they went down. The top families went up 6,000%. And that right there is the picture of corruption in America. The rich rig the rules on their own behalf and against you. So the right wing sometimes complains about wealth redistribution. I got news for you. They already did it. They redistributed the money to the top and out of your pockets.
Yeah, is anybody watching this video and thinking that those heirs work 6,000% harder than the people that initially made the money? Or twice as hard? Or 30% harder?
No.
They do have a skill though. They know how to get the government to hand over gigantic sums of money to them, which is certainly a valuable one if you know how to do it. But yeah, and think about the massive cost there. Like a lot of that, thanks to the lowering of the taxes on the insanely wealthy in America, lowering of the corporate tax rate, how much less money will actually end up flowing to the US government in ways that could theoretically benefit regular working people. So they hoard the money, none of it goes to the government. It's a fabulous system, and thanks to the changes that they made to the estate tax, we now not only have fabulously wealthy Waltons, the Mars family and the Kochs, but we have the beginning of, effectively, as Bernie always says, the new Gilded Age. We have an aristocracy. We have Versailles soon.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna quote 2 guys that you, even if you're a right winger, you might begin to trust on this issue in a second. But before we get to that, I wanna give you more amazing stats. And you're gonna be stunned at this beginning of a sentence. I wanna be fair to the Koch brothers. Okay, why? Because of all of these families, they're the ones who earn it the most. Now, David Koch joked in a speech once, we worked really hard, we pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps, and he said, this is how we made our fortune. We pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps and our dad died and left us $400 million. Okay, so it's a good joke, it's a self-effacing joke because it's true, right? And that is how they get rich. But they turned $400 million. Charles and David Koch did run the company, and now I think they're worth about $40 billion a piece, each of those guys, okay? And part of how they got that wealth was they put more money into politics than anyone else. They were smart enough to realize, oh my God, the Supreme Court made bribery illegal. We could just bribe all the politicians. And it gives us an incredible return on investment. And it's true. So the Waltons and the Mars families and the other guys, they're coasting off of the Koch brothers' ingenious bribery, right? And they did, to be fair to them, they ran their business and they took 400, they're not like Trump. Trump took 400 million and turned it into probably less than that, okay? Very, very likely to be far less than that.
Counting inflation.
Okay, now, so Trump was a disastrous businessman, went bankrupt 6 times. The Koch brothers didn't. They greatly increased the already gigantic amount of money that their parents had left them, but they're also the most guilty in terms of furthering that corruption. They live that corruption, they breathe that corruption. They're the ones who made it industrial size in America. Now, another guy who did that is Sheldon Adelson. So he is one of the guys who did not rely on a family wealth. I don't know what he began with, etc. I don't know if his parents were to some degree wealthy to begin with, but he ran casinos and he made a ton of money. So he realized, oh wait, no, it's true, you could bribe politicians, it's legal in America. He did likewise. So he has given $100 million in campaign donations. Now you think, what a charitable man.
He loves democracy.
So what does Sheldon Adelson want? He wants a number of things. He wants to crush unions so he can pay lower wages to his employees. He has $7.9 billion. Okay, no, I'm sorry, he has more than that. That's just the amount of money that he has in trust that he's gonna pass on to his kids, okay? So what do you need to crush your workers more? But he wants to. He believes in supporting the Israeli right wing. I don't care which country it is. I don't know why we're having people donate to politicians in our country to support the right wing in other countries or the left wing. I mean, so that's crazy. But really, the main thing he cares about is taxes. So don't get distracted by that stuff, okay? So he put $7.9 billion into complicated trusts for his kids with loopholes that he had paid for through those $100 million in campaign donations. So he uses those loopholes that his politicians created for him. You know how much he saved in taxes? $2.8 billion on just the estate tax, let alone income tax, let alone all the other taxes that he saved billions of dollars from. But just on that one tax, he saved 2.8 billion. So he put in 100 million, he got out 2.8 billion. That's a 2,800% return on investment. The best thing you could buy in America is an American politician. Okay, so now finally, who are the guys who you might believe? Former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker, the head of the Fed, said, quote, we're developing into a plutocracy.
Developing.
Warren Buffett, the second richest man in the world, he said, dynastic wealth, the enemy of a meritocracy, is on the rise. Equality of opportunity has been on the decline. A progressive and meaningful estate tax is needed to curb the movement of a democracy toward a plutocracy. So these guys at the very top, the good ones, the decent people, realize, are you guys nuts? We have all of the money. If you just let it pass it on to our kids and their grandkids, it's not gonna give equality of opportunity to the rest of America. If you gave equality of opportunity through the estate tax and other taxes, you know what that would create? Other millionaires. That would actually create an opportunity to actually do the thing that trickle down promised that we have not delivered on it at all. So when they tell you how bad it is, believe them. It is this bad. We've got to get the money out of politics. wolf-pack.com/join. If you don't do anything about it, you are complicit in this system. You have to get up and fight. Otherwise, this corruption will keep robbing us for another 50 years. Don't let it happen. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.